Millions of people are heading out ahead of the Thanksgiving holiday. Airports across the country bracing for a jam-packed week. The TSA expects a record number of people to fly today through Monday. Here's a look at those long lines in Raleigh, North Carolina, Pittsburgh, and San Francisco. CBS News senior transportation correspondent Kris Van Cleave is live at New York's LaGuardia Airport. Welcome, Kris. Thanks for being here. Today's a big day for airports. We know that. Anticipating some delays or even, unfortunately, a few cancellations. What can flyers do to make it easier for themselves to adjust their travel if they have to?
Well, and I think the headline here is just a few cancellations. What we've seen since Friday, when the airlines expected travel volumes to really start to rise, was there's been weather that has resulted in some delays. There have been some ATC staffing issues in the New York area. That's resulted in delays. But we've seen very few cancellations, which means there aren't a lot of people that are going to need to readjust their travel plans. And the airlines feel pretty good about the way the weather is lining up, that it's not going to be something that really disrupts or stops their ability to operate somewhere. So hopefully the cancellations stay pretty low, and that's a reasonable amount of rebookings and things for the airlines to work on. So that's actually very good. When you've got this many people flying, you're at historically low levels of cancellation. So hopefully there aren't too many people showing up to the airport and having to try to figure out another option on the fly here. Obviously, allotting yourself some extra time so that you're in position to get on that flight is really important, because we know many of the flights are pretty full. So you don't want to be in a situation where you miss a flight, because it's going to be a challenge to get rebooked quickly, particularly the closer we get to Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I don't want to jinx anything, but it's pretty amazing considering the weather we're having really across the country right now that there aren't more cancellations or delays. So that's great news for travelers. Kris, you got a rare look at the day in the life of a plane. I love this. What was something that surprised you as a very experienced flyer as you tracked the kind of the day of a plane and where it goes?
Well, I guess I knew that the plane goes to many places across the day. I didn't really have it through my head, Liz. We were signing up for a nearly 19-hour journey. So planes work a long day.
Yes.
That surprised me. And I think the other part of it is just the amount of teamwork that goes in to getting these planes turned around. And, each one of those segments, that's a flight. Southwest's going to operate 4,200 flights today. So they do this again and again and again and again and again. And it's a lot more people than you realize to keep all of those airplanes moving, to get them in and out. And for the most part, the airlines do it on time, without disruption, seamlessly enough that we don't really even pay attention to it.
Yeah, it's amazing when you look at that flight tracker map, Kris, you see how many planes are in the air at a given time. It's amazing that we're able to do that. I want to ask you, though, about a new congressional report that details how some airlines are capitalizing on those so-called junk fees, billions of dollars into their pockets, according to these findings. What are those junk fees, and have airlines responded to this report?
Yeah, so the committee called them junk fees. The airlines would call them ancillary fees. That's everything from if it's an ultra low cost carrier, the fee to print your boarding pass, the fee to pick a seat, the fee if you want to get a better seat with more leg room, or you want to upgrade your seat into, economy plus sort of stuff, bag fees. Those are all what the committee has dubbed junk fees. Those are a well-disclosed part of the airline's revenue stream. Very few of these are things that people aren't aware of necessarily. The airlines say that it's transparent and disclosed. What jumped out, I think, to me as I was reading through this report was just how much money in seat fees these five airlines made between 2018 and 2023. $12.4 billion in seat fees. One of the airlines made more charging for seats and legroom and things like that than they did off bag fees, which was pretty stunning. The other thing that I think you'll see get a lot of attention when airline executives have to justify these practices next month at a congressional hearing, two of the airlines, low-cost carriers, Spirit and Frontier, essentially had a bonus structure for their frontline employees to strictly enforce the bag size rules, which of course then results in passengers paying more bag fees. Frontier says that incentive program was aimed at making sure it was a level playing field and the rules were evenly applied to everyone. Spirit took some issue with this report, saying it respectfully disagreed with the findings. We'll hear from both of those airlines when they testify. But the Democrats on the permanent subcommittee on investigations in the Senate, who authored this report, led by Senator Blumenthal, called on the Department of the Treasury and Department of DOT to launch an investigation into the airline business practices around some of these things. The airlines say they follow the rules and the regulations.
All right, CBS News senior transportation correspondent Kris Van Cleave, the go-to for all things travel. He's at New York's LaGuardia Airport. Thank you, Kris.